at the law school, the law library. We have always done production work at UB in the law school, but it's been at various levels. As it started out, it's the traditional sort of thing we did: trial techniques, trial advocacy, and event recording. Most, of course, was, in the old days, they actually did it on black and white cassette. We still have some of those. Then we graduated to VHS, and now we're totally digital. We decided probably 2 to 3 years ago to go completely off the analog format because it was becoming too difficult for us to work with, and that includes for the trial advocacy and the trial technique programs. What we used to do was send the cameras downtown to the courts for trial technique classes, because a lot of the faculty were in fact adjunct faculty, and they were judges, and they used to like to do their recording in court. Now what we do is we send down a digital camera, and or we do the digital work in the school, and there's a turnaround time for the students to get their DVDs, and that hasn't been a problem. Where it was a little bit more immediate before, there is a bit of a delay because we have to transfer everything. But it's worked out, and it's worked out in a lot of different ways. Over the past 2 to 3 years, we have felt a need, and Jim Willis actually was a proponent, he's sitting right there, was a proponent of bringing on Nefelli and creating this position, because the demand for more advanced video services in the law school, both in production and distribution, was there, and we thought it was worthy of creating a full-time position. And Nefelli came on 6 months ago, and she is deep in production work. She has a full production schedule going, a number of projects, and she's here to tell you about where we came, where we're going to, and how the technology itself predicated the change and development in our department. Nefelli?
So I'd like to start by thanking Terry for the introduction. It eases my way through. So I have my flashcards, so I'll try to read through at the beginning, and then hopefully I'm not going to be as nervous. So I brought some of the projects I created for the University of Buffalo Law School and the Law Library since last December of 2007. But before I hit the play button, I'd like to brief you in as to how I came about the content of my presentation and the visual structure following it. Coming from a film and digital media arts background, I'm trained to think a certain way. So the first thing that comes in mind when creating a project is, okay, what's the format I'm going to present it in to? And the second thing that comes in mind is like, who is my audience? And this is my first CALI conference, and I don't know my audience. And and it was a huge struggle for me, and I knew I had to do my best, and the only way I know how to do my best is just hide behind my camera and just ask questions. So I went to my colleagues at the law library and interviewed them and asked them how things started with video technology in legal education. And I'm going to present some part of that interview. And it was a very interesting process for me, because I found out that they started having the first audiovisual librarian in 1970, and the only thing they did at the time was using a 35mm camera on a copy stand, creating microforms. And slowly and gradually, they bought their first U-matic cameras, their heavy set cameras. Imagine the tape has the double size of a VHS. So they started using video to create mood trial techniques, or just simple recordings, or even for promoting and marketing purposes. So having said that, after I found all this information, I realized then I'll show you some of the past, how I put it together, and some of the present, and a glance to the future. Now, everything, I brought with me a DVD that I created. Everything is recorded with a professional 3-chip Panasonic camera. I had a monopod. I like to be mobile. I don't set things on tripod. I had a wireless microphone. I didn't have any additional light. I thought it was sufficient. I have a good quality camera. And then I did my post-production using the latest version of Final Cut Pro. I made the DVD in DVD Studio Pro. I used Adobe After Effects for text and motion graphics. And I used, of course, Photoshop for manipulation. So I'll just hit play now.
Ms. Reynolds, do you remember trying to rob the bank at Coles?
Yes.
And do you remember after that you were taken to the Hazard County Jail?
Yes.
And do you remember at the jail punching one of the guards?
Yes, I don't deny those things.
Okay, and after you punched the guard, do you remember being taken to the Hazard County Hospital?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember biting a nurse there at the hospital?
Yes, I remember that incident.
Okay, now when these things happened, when you tried to rob the bank and punched the guard and bit the nurse, you were mentally ill. Is that correct?
I guess you could call it that.
Well, that's what your lawyer called it, didn't he, at your trial?
Well, he said that I was innocent because...
Because you were mentally ill.
Yes.
Where students go to court under our supervision, the instructor's supervision, do real cases. And I taught a mental health clinic where the clients would challenge their hospitalization in a mental hospital trying to get out. And I created in 1986, with the help of the AV department here at UB, a videotape that ran about 50 minutes long, which was a mock trial, it was a pretend trial. And I used the students in my class as the characters. I played the attorney for the state, and they played the expert witness, the client, the other attorney, and stuff like that. And the theory was to just run an entire trial, but with no objections. And then we would show it in class, and the students would then have to jump up and say, "Objection, Your Honor," and then I'd play the judge and decide the objections. And it actually worked pretty good. I used it for 3 semesters, and it was a nice training device.
Before I entered the hospital, I had problems.
You deny having any psychotic symptoms at all?
Well, could you explain to me what do you mean by psychotic symptoms?
Could you answer the question? Do you know what a delusion is or a hallucination? Did the doctor ever explain that to you?
Well, he said that I might hear voices and things might not be as they would normally be.
And there was a period when, for example, a voice
Yes.
who called herself Tanya told you to rob a bank. Is that correct?
Basically.
It was very straightforward. Stationary camera, 2 stationary cameras. Nina ran a switcher during the operation, and we just set up and started doing. I had a script. I had an actual script which the students, to their God bless them, memorized, and we just sort of did it as we went on. So we had nothing to work from. We had no examples or models.
Ms. Reynolds, if you're released, you're going to try to get custody of your children again, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Are you afraid at all of what might happen if you regain custody of your children?
No, I'm not.
Have you ever feared that if you get out and you decompensate, you might try to hurt your kids?
Mr. Gherkin, that's a very sadistic question. I would never do anything to hurt my children. If I thought there was a chance that I might decompensate, I'd make sure my kids were all right. I would never do anything to hurt my children.
So I'm showing you a lot of this clip because I just love how they performed. It's amazing. These are real students. Joe told me they didn't even rehearse. He gave them the script and they're fantastic. Now, the difficulty at the time was that, they needed a larger crew. It was a heavy camera. The quality is still good. But then in post-production, you know how film is made, the audio track and the video track is separated, so they just needed to do a lot of work. And so this is it. This is how things were at the past, and I'm heading to what we're doing now. These are different projects, and how we now utilize technology at the Carnegie Center for the Law Library and the UB Law School. The simplest form is class recordings, and these are just...
My job is to help you and work with you to see if we can get a resolution.
Do you remember what I told you my job was at the beginning? To talk to kids. Can you tell me about that? Why you had to go to the hospital? Did something bad to me.
Now, I'm showing this example of trial technique, and I'm hitting pause here, because it's interesting now that we collaborate with theater students. So we bring them in, and and they actually become the abused child, and the student gets a better hands-on practical experience. The other thing I want to point out is that setting up your frame just to film a student practicing is very important, because the way I see a video for the student is like it's their textbook. So it's pretty much I have to give them the detail they need to review. It's like reading a textbook. It has to be clean. It has to be sharp. So I'm setting always a microphone for them, because it's a big deal. Detail matters. So when they go back and review themselves, they need to hear sound and clear. So that's important for me. The next few projects are about promoting the law school, and this is a piece, a very short piece that was created for the law school website, and it's going to be up in this coming August.
UB Law in 3 words: work, fun, reward. That's it.
If I had to describe UB, I would say that it is a school with friendly and open competition.
Now, the next project is coming up. A few things about this SHARP project is just we're working for the web here, so we have to be precise, we have to be short, and the admissions at the University of Buffalo came to me and said, we just need to create video testimonials. And I couldn't get the students together, so I interviewed them individually. There are 4 students, and then I juxtaposed in editing their answers together. So that's how it's going to be. And then going back to the law library GPS is we're experimenting in finding ways to use our library plasma. And what if we merged video and text to create a student orientation? A librarian is presenting this. She's not an actress, but I think she looks very good. So, and we barely rehearsed.
Hi, welcome to the Law Library. Come on in. If you understand where the law comes from and its forms of publications, you will never be lost in a law library, real or virtual. A law library is laid out like the Constitution: a legislative branch, a judicial branch, and an executive branch. And then there's all those amendments that give added meaning. Primary law is generated from the 3 branches of government. Secondary materials give added meaning to all of that primary law. So what's the arrangement of primary and secondary materials in our law library? Let's take a look. As you stand at the entrance to the library or peruse a Westlaw or Lexis directory, think first about jurisdiction. Does your issue cover state or federal law? Then think of the Constitution and the 3 arms of government. On the south side, or the left side of the 2nd floor, is our New York Core Collection. Here we have New York primary law, legislative statutes, court decisions, and executive or administrative materials. Each of these has a chronological version and a subject version. We also have some secondary sources on New York law, like these encyclopedias and treatises in our New York alcove, just past the circulation desk.
No, this is a 3-minute piece. I don't want to bore you.
In the middle and north sections of the second floor, we have our federal court collection. And following our constitutional structure, behind me in the middle section are the federal court reports and digests. Across the aisle in the north section, we have the federal statutes and administrative regulations. Each of these has a chronological version and a subject version. The third floor continues our constitutional structure for all the other 49 states and territories. Primary and secondary material for each of these locations are on the west and the north side of the third floor. The south and southwest sides of the third floor contain our secondary material arranged by Library of Congress classification numbers. Floors 4 through 6 contain the remainder of our Library of Congress classified materials and our foreign and international law collections.
Yes. So imagine just a large screen, and this is just the first subject. We have different librarians that they're interested to create this GPS deal. Other questions?
You said this displays in the library?
Yes.
But then don't you want to maintain a quiet environment, and is it better to have subtitles?
You see, the thing is, like, I thought the visuals, I thought that this would be silent and the student will just wear headphones. But my understanding, Karen told me that no, this won't be silent because it's outside the library.
Yeah, you won't hear the audio inside the library. So, you know, as students gather outside before they come into the library, there's a lounge area out there. So this will be able to run with it. We can probably put CNN pictures up next to it or split the screen or whatever.
But the other thing I was considering, while creating simple text, you have to think what's catchy and engaging, and you have to pace it. So I was thinking, okay, they're going to hear and read, so how am I going to present it? So it has to be very simple.
When you are recording, do you have an external wireless mic feeding into the camera? Or?
I had a microphone on her. Yeah, and she had the transmitter receiver. It's like that. Transmitter and nothing else. Oh, a small video light just to light her face, and we don't have time. This is extra. Like, we're so busy, so we just try to shoot it and just do the work later. Just shoot it as best possible, good quality, frame it nicely, light it nicely, take as many takes, because she wrote the script. I know nothing about law and statutes, and she had to come and help me to edit because I had no clue about legal terms. So moving next. Other questions? Let me know if you're bored. I just brought projects. Just let me know. Stop now. I'm just finishing that.
So orient yourself to our arrangement, and you will be at home in any law library you visit in person or research online. Remember our constitutional structure from which all legal publishing derives, and you will negotiate the physical stacks or a database directory with ease to find your law.
And then another promo for the UB Law School clinics. That was my first piece there. When I went there, I just took some pictures.
Skills, experience, justice. At the University of Buffalo Law School, students get experience in the law clinics practicing law hands-on, honing their legal skills, and learning how to be effective advocates for justice. The clinics provide practical tasks and structured opportunities for students. During your experience in a clinic, you may be doing complex transactional work that services community groups and municipalities, representing individuals in legal proceedings, or creating legal literacy materials. Law changes lives. UB Law students address issues of social and economic justice, protect and preserve the environment, and contribute to revitalizing the local economy. In the past 2 decades alone, the clinics have had an economic impact of more than $180 million. Real law, real solutions. Learn to look at problems from many perspectives, not only legal, but social, economic, and even medical. Experience the clinic, make an impact, change people's lives.
And then, of course, what's happening in terms of production, post-production, and distribution, 30 years of using video technology, we see the development of all the equipment. We have sharper cameras, we have crisp lenses, so everything became easier. So back in the day, you needed a huge crew, and now one person can do the work. Of course, they need to be skilled. Otherwise it's not going to work. And of course, to distribute is very cheap today because you create a channel on YouTube and then you go about outreach, and that's what I did. I went online and I created a channel. You can find UB Law School at, I'll show you the link now, youtube.com user UB Law School, and I guess this is a project I shot for the UB Law School clinics. I went downtown. They have this cooking time every Thursday. Their youth gets together and creates dinner for about 30 children. And it's a wonderful thing to show to the world that, oh, we can do this. We're doing this. Check us out. Do you want to play or just go on? Yes or no? Yes. Play. Okay, I'll play. They told me to play in high quality.
Which begins at 6 o'clock.
It should play from the beginning.
Was there anyone? I don't know, it doesn't look like there's no communication. I do know this for you.
That's the record button too on top.
We're here today cooking for the dinner co-op, which begins at 6 o'clock.
It's not really like a job here, it's more like just hanging around.
We get 7.15 an hour. Yeah, 7.15 an hour. And we usually work like 6 hours a week.
Don't be shy. I have a question.
Yeah. I want to be a math teacher. Why did you do? Why did you know that's what you did? Whatever.
So I had fun. I think video production should be fun. I'm learning so much by interacting with different people, and I like what I'm doing. So so far we have 3 videos up because I mean I'm so busy. But more is coming, and I try to have the candid approach where I just love observing. So I just film and put it together, film and put it together. I have one about exam day. I think it's fun. I'll play it a little bit. If you're bored, just...
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
I had my dad on your Facebook I'm just sitting in the hall.
And with people that young, it's like, as opposed to criminal law, you can make a difference in the lives of children. Whereas I just love the material. I mean, the material is great. No strawberry cream cheese? This is a trend.
That's very well. You go law school. Like when I started working there, it's like exam week, and I had bagels, free bagels every day. That's amazing. It's like I'm very happy to be there. Well, not just for the bagels, but anyway. Any questions? Yes.
Especially with the GPS project, and the librarian created the script. Did you do the storyboard instead of all the shots then, or did she suggest those?
She gave me suggestions. You see, I made a little bit of a storyboard because I know how to do that. But the struggle I had is with the language. So I'm hoping with time I can get more legal terms down. Like if she mentioned to me something about art photography or cinematography or whatever, or lighting or exposure, it's like, yes, I get that, but she didn't. So she talked about statutes, she talked about, oh my God, it's like, no, so it was very plain. And then when we put it together, I couldn't go back and film extra shots for the GPS Law Library because we're fixing our library. So it's full of construction now. It's like, so I couldn't go back and add to the visual. I'm sure if I worked on it more, it could be more engaging in terms of the actual locations. But yeah, but it makes sense. It's good enough. It does the job. Yeah, my goal is to just make a unified project that gives the message out and is good enough. Do your best and it's fun. Other questions? Yes.
Yeah, seems like a lot of the video projects you're doing are promotional kind of things for the law school. Are you also being asked to come in and help film, say, opening and closing statements and helping the students kind of work with them on their own delivery in the courtroom and stuff?
Yes. I haven't started to be closely involved, but I've been doing post-production assisting for the documentary filmmaking class Professor Terry Miller has. And I brought a clip that she has on YouTube to show, so to mention my involvement in assisting or teaching assisting in the students in showing them how to do their coursework. Yeah. So Professor Miller goes to Attica, and I went to do post-production for her. It was a scary experience, but I did go there. I've never been to prison before. So, so my job there was not to record, but was to take care of the dubbing, because they won't let you out of the prison if you don't give them the material you just recorded.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So let me play a clip of that. I have it so you can see what else we're doing besides the promo and just simple class recordings.
Yeah, and I actually forgot that you had showed us something where the law students were working with like victims in that one scene.
Yeah.
So that goes in with that too.
Yeah, it's like it's not just one aspect. It's just all over the place, and it's good stuff. So this is Professor Miller's Encountering Attica. I guess the trailer. Is the volume from?
That morning when they came and got me, they brought me in the sheriff car, and we was like maybe a mile from this place, and it was like a cloud that had just formed over this one particular place. It was cloudy, it was dark, and it was gloomy. From a distance, it looked like a castle from a distance. And I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? What is this place?
shove his face. Nobody, I was sick yesterday. I was like, did anybody get?
I was relentless at first. I was, I was like, I don't know if I really wanted to be a part of that. For me being a part of this project, I felt they won't look at me for being me. They won't look at me as a father, as a son, as a husband, you know what I mean? As a brother. They won't look at that. They look at me, they say, oh, he's a murderer. I mean, how do you look at me now that, I'm incarcerated? I've been incarcerated 28 years.
So it's quite interesting what she's trying to do in utilizing video technology and actually take her students in the prison and have a conversation with the prisoners. So I have a slide for it actually. What Professor Miller is trying to do is to, I wrote it down, it's like, because it's legal terms, it's just like, it's coming up. It's after this slide.
Did you get a signed waiver from each and every
Oh
case?
yes, oh yes. First of all, you need special permissions. I'm sure Terry knows more about it for the legal aspects.
We get waivers from everybody. Everything's signed off on. Even the prisoners in the prison, when they agree to participate, they have to sign waivers.
Do you have one of your lawyers write up that waiver for you?
No, actually, well, the law school actually had the waivers.
Yeah, they already had them.
Yeah, but we have written up waivers when we're doing the special events and those sort of things. And most of the centers in the law school have waivers, and they all have to be signed off on.
It helps to have one just handy to print
Right,
up.
and we keep a file. It's a permanent file.
Who archives them? Do you keep all the waivers?
Whoever the agency is in the law school, or the department is in the law school who requests the production work. We have a Center for Law and Public Policy called the Baldy Center, and when they have their speakers come in, whether it's a simple recording or a video production, in their information packet that goes to the speakers, they have waivers that they all sign off on. So it's systematic for some, and we always ask at the last minute if it's a special recording that the waiver has been signed off. And if it hasn't, we produce one then. They sign off on the spot.
There you go, I found my slide. Looking into the present and near future, teaching and understanding law and public policy through documentary filmmaking. That's what Professor Miller is doing. It's quite fascinating to think like you didn't have access before, but suddenly, oh, I have a voice and I can show it through my video. It's biased, I guess we can argue on that, but it's still, it's a way of getting perhaps change in law policy. And a glance to the future. I was very happy to attend a meeting last week where we're considering a Second Life presence. We have an island at the University of Buffalo, and we need to, I guess, learn to utilize it and create a virtual environment. And that's just something I found out. And perhaps this is where we're going, but I don't know much about it. So. But this is perhaps our future right now. So, yes.
Do you do classroom recording also, or do you do classroom recording?
Oh yeah, that's what I showed at the very beginning, from the simple form where you do your class recording. We do mediation, moot court, trial technique. What else?
Do you mean like contracts?
Lecture capture.
We do those on request of the students or faculty. We don't systematically do them, but when we do them, they're all digitally recorded and uploaded to CALI.
Okay. Do you have issues with lighting? I mean, even in a beautiful room like this, the speaker usually is quite dark because you really want to try and highlight that. What do you do with that? How do you make that better?
Okay. I'm very detail oriented, so when I went there, I just asked to buy lighting setups, and we did. But unfortunately, you cannot set up lights all the time. It depends on the situation. So I may have a judge come to give us a speech or lecture, and I'm not allowed to set up lights. So what I do, I compensate creatively, so I choose the best frame. I may overexpose in my camera after I white balance, so I can adjust, and then I may fix it in Final Cut Pro. It's not always the ideal situation where I can set up my 3 lights and do 3-point lighting. It's not always like that. And then for example, I recorded the graduation and it was dark. What could I do? I could just be my best, and yes, there is darkness, but I can still fix it. That's the beauty of using Final Cut Pro and editing software. You can still manipulate. Not as great. The best thing for me is to get the best visual right up front, and then don't deal with post-production, but oftentimes I run into that problem. Other questions?
What kind of camera you used? Did you directly record into a hard drive, or is it on a tape, digital DVI?
DV tape. So we don't have HD yet. We're looking into investing at an HD camera, but we have a Panasonic 3-chip. What's the name of it? AGDVX. AGDVX 2000. Anybody here? The latest Panasonic version, 100B. Panasonic AGDVX 100B. So the next level is the HD. But it's still professional quality DV.
No, because you just bought about 8 or 9 JVC digital cameras, cheap ones, like it's about $500 each. And I saw the quality on that one is much better than what you have got with this expensive camera.
Thank you.
I don't understand why.
Is it really better? Because we can argue that. What kind of a lens system do you have on your camera, and what kind of a chip do you have on your camera? Is it really better?
No. What I have in the camera?
Yeah, I'm making an argument.
Maybe it's true, but it is off the shelf. You can buy it from any store.
Yeah, but I think personally, you just need to know what you're buying. Consumer type cameras are not necessarily the best solution. But then again, I come from a film and media arts background, and I studied photography, and I studied optics. So I'm looking things differently.
No, it's true, but I'm not criticizing your product.
Oh no, me neither.
Yeah, but what I saw was that I could recognize the faces on those
on the YouTube
tapes. With this expensive camera, you cannot.
The projector is not that great.
The other thing you do have to remember. For what it's worth, she's right. And it's my buildings.
I'm also learning. I'm not an expert. That's why I want to get an opinion on how to improve. So
I would certainly say that if you took that same DVD with these video clips and dropped it into a really nice LCD TV or HD TV, you would see a lot of the quality would pop out at that point.
Perhaps you could just give them a copy of the DVD so you can evaluate.
Yes, you can check it at home. But be cautious about consumer type. I've run into it at UB Law School, and I freaked out. And I told Terry, okay, professional quality. It's okay if we don't have enough money, but it's great that they're very great. They're helping. They're great. They're up for it. Professional quality does make a difference sometimes.
And one question probably will solve my problem. We have some small rooms where students take competitions and move certain interviews. They have in very small rooms. Did you buy any wide-angle lenses to accommodate small room recordings, or how do you manage that?
How do we manage that? We do have a wide lens. You see what I do? I frame according to the location. So if my room is small and I cannot set up lights and my background is white, I isolate the talent against the white frame, the white background, and away from the wall. This is my wall. So I place them at a distance, so it creates a sort of an illusion of depth. Just because I don't have lights, just because I limit it to a small space, and certainly the way I angle and position them in the camera. So
little tricks like that can make a difference. It's not always the lens. It's not always the camera. It's a combination of knowing how to frame and compose and the equipment you're using. I think it's. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, we've always, as Nefelli said, sort of boxed in the talent. Sometimes when we just do a straight recording of a class where the faculty member wants to write on the board and they want the written part recorded, we just mark off the parameters of the lens's reach from left to right. We just put gaff tape on the board and don't write outside these margins, and they understand, or don't walk outside these margins either. Because a lot of times you don't have enough staff to leave in the room with the camera and let it roll, so it's up to them to stay in the field of view. And it works. They understand this.
Just different tricks you can use. If you don't have any other questions, I'd like to thank you. I was quite stressed, but I feel okay now. Yes?
You did fine. So
Thank you.
approximately how much does that camera that you're using cost?
When I bought it was like $300-500, but I think now it's cheaper because of the HD development. If you're looking into buying HD cameras, just be cautious, because HD is not really HD. Yeah, you know that, I'm sure.
MPEG 2 is kind of difficult. You have to convert it and then convert it again.
Yeah, without the compression, it's like, yeah, it's a whole different subject.
I have a question. On your Final Cut Pro, I have a couple of different machines with different combinations of software and hardware to do our post-production editing. And I'm not happy with any of them, even though they're very powerful machines. Everything seems to take forever. And I just wondered, on a clip like the last one, the Attica clip that you had there, just ballpark, what kind of a time frame to actually output that after your post-production? I mean,
For one, I didn't edit that one. The teaching assistant edited that for all the professor. But for a one-minute clip to compress it or to make a movie file?
to do the final compression and output of the video.
I have the latest tower. I'm so happy I got the latest Intel 3.0 the processor. I'm so happy. It takes a minute. And I have other software open. I have Adobe After Effects at the same time, and I have Internet open at the same time.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have, my Mac machine is actually a dual G5 2.0 gigahertz machine with 4 gigs of RAM, but so it's not really that powerful. But I have for all of my Adobe suite, I actually used a Dell Precision 780 with quad-core Xeons and 4 gigs of RAM, and the really nice 512 meg video card and all that jazz. But it still performs horribly at when I do the After Effects and all that.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if that was something I was going to have to deal with, or if I see sometimes for a 5-minute clip taking 30 to 45 minutes, so I don't know if I have something set wrong in my software or.
Well, the processor helps. The RAM helps if you can buy more RAM. And what else is important? The available internal drive, I think. And also it helps if you work. How are you working? Are you working for an external, or are you working directly to the computer?
Inside the drive, I have, or inside the tower, I've actually got 10,000 RPM hard drives, and I have 750 gig storage in there.
And they're not full?
No. I usually try to keep them at least 40 to 60% of free space in there when I'm working on a project. So I really don't know where my bottleneck is at this point.
Any IT help? What
are you using? Adobe Premiere?
What program are you
Using
using?
the CS3 Master Collection. So I'm using,
Adobe After Effects.
After Effects and all that.
Sometimes you need to trash the preferences in Final Cut Pro and restart your computer, and suddenly it works greatly. But you're using Adobe After Effects. I've never had a problem with Adobe But with Final Cut Pro, trashing the preferences, there's a process to do that. It helps. I mean, software is not perfect.
No.
Trashing the preferences. The Apple website has all these
Recommendations on how to do that.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
It won't go so I think it went
So maybe, like I have that 1,000 RPM storage inside the machine, and that's where I do all the actual editing. I have this SAN or NAS system on the network, so I have like 10 terabytes of archive video files. So I keep that network connection for that purpose. But it's taken off the network Well, that's what I'm saying. I build the project on the local storage, and then only, and then to free up space, connect my documents. But then after the connection is active, yes.
I had to do that always. I thought, okay, I'll just put it on my electric. What I did was just
When we ordered this particular machine, we looked at some of the
I just clicked it.
10,000 RPM, 750 regular. Just get one large enough for your project. We actually are just starting to do some. In the past, we've only been collecting classroom videos, but we have a grant project right now where we're collecting courtroom videos. We're building an online database website so that faculty can use it as a tool. So we're teaching, evidence. They pull up information about, how you bring in evidence up show the real world evidence. So getting these camera systems from all these different courtrooms across the state, in Kentucky, where I'm from, they don't use court reporters in the court system. It's all video and that's the public record. So everyone already has a fixed camera system in their courthouse. However, they're from different vendors or different quality. So we have to try to do a bit of normalization so that so that's starting to refer to
The freeware tools that still like that actually work right. Adobe's product is just like the trend. I'm already looking for another.
Just like you get with a regular digital camera for red eye correction.
That's my plan. I've got everything else.
We actually, in my department, we don't have a separate camera. Right now, we're still using all the engineering cameras in the rooms, and like our courtroom, we have lots of cameras all around the room. So we can from our central office in our building switch, and we also have a system where we automatically switch on voice. We don't need a system. And so we're using that right now. We have our continuing legal education department. They have very nice professional HD cameras. I don't know how many thousands of dollars they spend, but it's really nice. Oh, I'm sorry. 7 or 8 grand they paid for the camera body without any accessories. With their camera, with our CALI office, they have their in that department. His background has been since he was old enough to know like it was, so he actually does a very good job and does all of their production for they do PCs, and online videos and stuff.
This is one box.
He also
fills up a good portion of the life. It has a
the new Dell XPS gaming rig, with the quad-core Xeon. He has over a terabyte of internal storage,
20 terabytes.
And he still takes forever to
Actually, I already know catch a cab to that place.
I mean, it sounds insane about commercial cameras. Are you the only one who's going to be using them, or do you let your students and faculty use them?
Most of these have we allow the students to operate.
Consumer cameras have been less for about a year or two. Professional cameras are going to last a lot longer. I understand what you're saying. We bought a bunch of cameras because we didn't have the budget in the beginning. And, they were like the cheaper ones you had to take them off the tripod to put the mini DVD in and all of that. So they started they lasted about a year and a half, 2 years, and they started breaking. We're still using them now for like for students to take courses or something. And we bought the Amazon HD60, beautiful cameras. Rugged. They're about they're not they're also featured, cameras, quality is really good, the sound is really good. The other thing you start getting with the consumer cameras is sometimes the tape will not record like audio. If something bad, so what do you do? You put it in DVD? What? Oh, hard drive. I haven't had any experience with the hard drive cameras. But, you know, in the professional camera, you can see the lights going for the audio, because a lot of times they will record it, and somehow either with the camera or with the tape, and you don't record the audio, because it's going.
That's our problem with our classroom recordings is our system on the podiums. You can have the room turned on, and you can have the computer on and be doing PowerPoint. They have to press a button to turn on the microphone.
Oh, you're
so
Greg.
We'll record a
I knew you were Greg. I asked you, and you were like, oh.
So
you just said a nice name, and I said thank you.
Oh my God, where are you from? So wait, so yeah, we did. Oh yeah, I'm Bridget.
So what we're doing now, right, is we have 10 MacBook Pros in the department. So when we do simulations and stuff like that, the students have to watch it like kind of quickly. And the professors want to review. What we do is we get it on mini DVD. Through FireWire, we also capture it through QuickTime as HD60. So as soon as that's done, I can take it and throw it right in. If you buy QuickTime Pro license, $29, you can do recordings. They don't give you too many choices.
How do you record? That's what I'm asking.
That's what I'm saying. Whichever camera has a FireWire output. Okay, so even the consumer ones have a FireWire output. So what you do is you put it through the FireWire on the computer, and we use QuickTime and do a recording, and you can capture it in either H.264 or MPEG-4. And those files you can take and put it right on the web. And if you have QuickTime, you can review it right away. So that's one of the things we're doing. I want to automate this process. So I've been talking with Apple. They have this server that has something called podcast producer. And with scripts and stuff like that, they can automate this process and make it multiple formats too. Yeah. They went away from they used to do Flash, but they went away from this third-party company that you buy and adds onto there, and you have a whole bunch of conversions. Windows Media, everything. So you tell the script what to do, and it produces it right for you. You can strip just the audio, because a lot of students like to just hear the thing on their iPod, lecture or whatever.
And this is just the, I guess,
Leopard server has what's called podcast producer. In fact, podcast producer is on here too. So you need, I think, a server on here. What? No, it's great. We're education, right? So Apple has the education licenses for the server for unlimited $199. You're not going to get that price. Any Microsoft.
So just licensing Leopard server on your server allows you to do unlimited podcast creation.
Right. And I think you can do it without that, because podcast producer is right here. It's like a little. You go into Leopard under the utilities, I have this right here, postproduction. I haven't used it much, but it looks, I think, for a server, but you can fake right, but I think you can fake it and use it on the same machine. You can start like cloud, you can do something like you don't need a server.
I have a server that I can
I just want to talk to Rick.
No, they're the only.
I did ask him for his name.
And it's right here on Route 522, so, you know, they
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know that's a typical.
Great. He's like, I'm from
Right, the
Greece. You're.